Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Secondsies³ the podcast, brought to you by Jessica Galletta, Ayla Hadi, and Allison Weaver. And this time, we are going to be exploring the world of culture and art once again. And this time, we're going off to Australia with our discussion of a work which will be very familiar to many people called Fisk. So, Ayla's going to be presenting today, and so we'll let her take the floor. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today with you all discussing the first season of Fisk. Uh, I thought that it would be appropriate to discuss this for the country of Australia. Because if there's one thing that the British Commonwealth likes to unite over is basically how the American sense of humor is subpar and the humor found within the British Commonwealth is usually far superior. That is their opinion. That is something that I have seen through lots of discussion. And I thought, what better way to showcase some Aussie humor through a workplace comedy? Australia, an interesting fact that maybe not everyone knows, the size of Australia depicted on the map is completely inaccurate to its actual scale. Um, it's the sixth largest country in the world, massive, massive, massive. It's home to one of the oldest living and continuous cultures in the world. The Aboriginals of Australia, we're talking about tens of thousands of years. Of course, unfortunately, they did bear the brunt of colonization as Australia is part of the Commonwealth. Australia has incredible biodiversity, so many different species of mammals and reptilians that are only found within the continent and country of Australia. They have, of course, the Great Barrier Reef out back. I believe they have like 10% of perpetual pasture and meadowland of the entire world. Fun fact, whenever you go to a supermarket and you find like the section for lamb, a lot of times that lamb is from Australia or New Zealand, but commonly within the United States, that lamb is from Australia. So another little fun fact. Um, so we're ready for the next slide, please. So before I really delve into the show, I thought that I would give a quick background on this subgenre, the workplace comedy. The Mary Tyler Moore Show is often credited as being one of the first of this subgenre. There are many theories to explain the popularity of workplace comedy shows. It can serve as escapism for people because one of the most relatable experiences for people amongst different social classes across the globe, different cultures, is the need to work. And workplace comedies can offer a softened and alternative vision of the drudgery associated with going to work, particularly within the corporate structure. Although workplace comedies can often veer away from typical 9 to 5 corporate structure, we have shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which follows a precinct of the NYPD. We have the newer St. Denis Medical, which follows hospital administration and staff. And of course, we have famous oldies like Cheers, which is centered in a bar in Boston. So, the thing that sets apart workplace comedies to, let's say social group of friends type of comedy is the cast of colorful characters and manageable obstacles and interpersonal conflicts. One of the bigger complaints of people who, gotta clock in, go to work is the aspect of interpersonal relationships, conflicts. politics within this realm and world of workplace comedies. The conflicts are usually um, they provide a challenge, but ultimately they are able to be surmounted. You don't really see a whole lot of turnover happening within this fictionalized and idealized version of what it is to go to work. The Office UK started the mockumentary style of the workplace comedy, and it has spawned really highly popular and critically acclaimed popular shows like the US version of The Office, Parks and Recreation, and Abbott Elementary. The last two shows in particular are known for being unapologetically optimistic. So, I would be remiss in not discussing Kitty Flanagan before we move into the actual show. Kitty Flanagan is the lead of Fisk. She is also the co-writer and co-directs the show. So we are talking triple threat across the board. She's a noted Australian comedian actress and writer. She's Her story is really funny. So she completely stumbled on the path of stand-up comedy by chance. She worked as a advertising copywriter, in a corporate job for 5 years before she was ultimately fired. And she was waiting in line to get unemployment benefits, but she got completely impatient with it. And she was like, I'm not gonna wait for this really long line. I'm just gonna go get a job at a bar. And that's what she did. She went and found employment at the bar of a hotel, and this bar hosted an open mic night. She decided to give stand-up comedy a try at one of these open mic night events. The first one she did great at. Second, she completely blew, but she said it only takes like one successful experience for you to be hooked. And 6 months later, just 6 months. It's kind of extraordinary when you think about it. She was signed on to star and write in Full Frontal. In the early 2000s, she starred and was a regular on The Sketch Show, which featured prominent Aussie comedians, including Glenn Butcher, who plays the role of Tip, her stepfather, on the show Fisk. So there goes like some long interpersonal friendship there. She also later starred in Utopia, another workplace comedy, but internationally it's known as Dreamland. It's a television series that premiered on ABC in August 2014, and it shows the lives of a team in a fictional national building authority, which is a newly created government organization. And the organization is responsible for looking over major projects and kind of how they are all their own obstacles in reaching these goals. So this was something that I learned after watching the show, but her family is actually very cool. Her sister is also a co-writer on Fisk, and her name is Penny, and she's a musician. Her brother is a chef, and her dad. This little interesting fact completely blew my mind. He is a very famous author. He wrote one of my favorite fantasy books as a teenager, The Ranger's Apprentice. I think there are 12 books out. So when I read that fact, completely mind blown. So just a very creative family with each person having their own legacy. And then as far as, sorry, could we move to the next slide? As far as the show Fisk, which is in my, I'm gonna reserve my opinions until you guys give your ratings and thought. The show Fisk received a lot of accolades after it debuted and throughout gaining membership in its three-season run. I believe it is the highest streamed show on ABC's platform, iView. Um, it it got high ratings within its critical reception. And it won a ton of awards for the Logie Awards within the realm of acting. It also won a bunch of awards in the AACTA Awards, which is the Australian Academy of Cinema and Television Arts, Best Television Comedy Series, Best Comedy Performer, Best Narrative Comedy Series, etc. And it's also quite popular in France, funny enough. The premise of the show follows this really persnickety, particular attorney named Helen Tudor Fisk, who has to completely uproot her life and start from scratch after getting divorced in Sydney. She goes back to her hometown of Melbourne and she's starting from scratch. And in desperation, she accepts a job at a small probate and will firm called Gruber and Gruber. And her personality is so particular. She's very pedantic, but ultimately she comes off as quite likable. She's very rigid and structured in her view of the world. So it's funny to see her try to adjust that hardness through her interactions at work and also how her relationship with her father and stepfather develops throughout season one. And right off the bat, when I first watched the show, and they never explicitly say this, and I don't think that this is their intention, but right off the bat, she came across as very neurodivergent to me. Her The way that she holds on to her own perceived rules of conducting herself in the world or how the world should conduct itself while also being completely oblivious to social order. Things like there was this whole episode dedicated to her learning how to chit chat in the office. And she has this endearing quality of not understanding the need to chit chat, but also trying to make that effort to appease her bosses. And she can come off charming throughout this whole endeavor. The show also features a steady stream of really kooky clients who come in, um, including the mother-daughter duo of Finders Keepers. You see her fall into these really like petty disputes and grievances with people around her because of her particularness, including the owner of the coffee shop that is just down from the office from her. And for those who don't know, but Australia is very famous for its coffee culture, particularly in Melbourne. So her being banned from the one coffee shop that is close in proximity to her office is actually like a very big blow. Um, she's also surrounded by a cast of colorful characters. We have Roz, the newly suspended attorney at Gruber and Gruber, her brother, who basically is kind of insignificant. That's who he is on the show. He does play a significant role, but basically his role is that he is insignificant in the way that he shows up at work. He basically does very little. The webmaster George, he's actually just a clerk, but he prefers to be called a webmaster. So we see this cast interact with each other. Their chemistry is really incredible, and I think it shows especially with her relationship with Roz. Fun fact, the actresses were friends beforehand, and Kitty Flanagan actually had to do a lot of work in convincing her friend to join the cast. And it was like up till the wire to the very last minute where she's like, oh, I'm not sure. And then she did end up joining. So I would like to open the floor to you guys to hear what you have to say, your ratings, your thought. Yes, thank you, ladies, in advance.
Thank you, Ayla, for that. We're gonna hear from whoever wants to start. Jess, do you want to start? Because I kind of need to
I was
collect
gonna
my
ask if you
thoughts.
wanted to start.
Oh, do I want to start? Okay, don't really care. Um, I'll try to collect my thoughts then, if you're not ready.
I mean, I could
Let's
be
see.
ready, but I was like, let's you go first.
Okay, so firstly, I have a disclaimer, and the disclaimer is I don't really enjoy TV. That's just generally my problem. Same thing as a problem I have with musicals. I don't know why. Most of the time television bores me to death. Um, Now for this case of Fisk, obviously, it's I could definitely obviously relate to the scenarios and things. I think from my perspective, I think the last season of Fisk actually I think was better than the first one. Um, I watched all of them. I think for me, it's a very good quality as far as comedy TV goes. I think it beats The Office, honestly, because the characters really did a very nice job. Um, and I think I would put it on a similar tier with Elementary as far as getting it, like nailing it as far as their target audience. So from that point of view, I'm not gonna give it any low rating, but at the same time, I'm still going to probably rate it lower than you guys because I think it kind of reminds me of something like it's a bit like of course it's dry and that's how Australian humor is, and so I liked that part. But I feel in some ways it was felt a little bit overdone. And of course that's part of the point, but for me, like just from my own interest, it's a little bit overdone or and sometimes a little bit felt a little bit like the upper comic style, a little bit uh too much sometimes.
Highbrow.
No, just too much, not highbrow,
Oh,
just too much.
okay.
Um and then the I like the minimalism because it's intentional and largely successful, and the timing is great. Diction is good, and the ensemble really does work well with each other, so that's good. But I feel like I didn't really feel like season one achieved a good crescendo, so to speak, and I felt a little bit of a lack of catharsis or maybe like it's hard to say. Like, it's really hard for me to describe it, but just something just didn't feel like okay. There just didn't feel like wow. So I think the total end result from my point of view is that um I would deduct it for it felt that the emotional range was a little bit restricted. Sometimes the transformational arc didn't quite work for me, and yeah, it's kind of it felt a little bit more like a single register, so to speak. It was elegant, but it was also dry and it was controlled, but never quite took a risk sometimes. Um, I mean, as much as it could have. So I'm always critical about TV though. So don't take this all with a grain of salt. And I think it is a work that is very good for the audience, but not for me. And I think I'll probably give it a B. So that's what I'm gonna say, probably like 78 or so. Yeah. So that's because I'm critical about it. I just don't like TV that much. Anyway, go ahead, Jess. I'm sure that you'll be able to give it a better analysis.
No, I thought your analysis was good. I like critical analyses. I think just it doesn't have to be positive or negative. Sometimes just
I just felt mad.
discussing objectively how you feel about things or subjectively. I don't know. And it's not like I don't know. I think that's I like those more complicated conversations because they can always learn from them. Anyway, my overall grade, I would say B plus. From what I've watched so far, I've only watched the first season. I think it was at first, the humor is really dry, but after like a couple, 2 or 3 episodes in, I found myself laughing out loud to some of the jokes, some of the gags. My favorite episode was the episode where her husband comes into town or ex-husband comes into town and tries to steal her dog. I think that's where like you see the shift in the story where humanizes her a lot because it's like she's so tough and like you were saying pedantic and like really hard but like and like doesn't get along with people like constantly butting heads but then she her dog gets kidnapped and she's like sad like she's genuinely like heartbroken about it because her dog is like her buddy and I like it's like her only friend in the world and that episode was also really hilarious with the bit of like the clients that came were just like constantly stealing everything. That was so randomly funny. It was so random, and then it just like ended up. I really liked the how they leaned into the physical comedy of that. How the ladies just kept like grabbing stuff, and then they were trying to like it was like little kids. And then my favorite was
Finders
the moment where
keepers.
what
Finders keepers.
finders keepers. No, my favorite moment was where the mom lady was pulled off her glasses. Like she just stood there and she's like, and then she took them back. So I liked how it like really like tied that together. It's like her glasses were taken, and then at the end when they brought her dog back, she's like, "I'm gonna find her keepers." So that was a nice way to like close the loop. And I always like seeing that in comedies when I'm like, oh, they closed the loop, and that was impressive. I Yeah, I'm not sure about risks. I do think like the technical quality, you can tell it was, I mean, it was shot very well, but the cameras you use, I don't know, it just sometimes with like small productions, even though if they use 4K or 5K or whichever, you can tell it's a smaller production. Like, I don't know what movie magic, how the big studio boxes like zhuzh it, but it just looks different. Anyway, it wasn't as cinematic looking, which would have been cool, but it was fine. So, um, I think it definitely has commercial appeal for it's like for Australia, for Australians, and it seems like one of those little, it could be like a cult classic that people could discover. It could just have like a loyal cult following, which is kind of like The Office. Allison and I were mentioning how it reminded us both of The Office, and it does definitely give very Office vibes. And I think the cast of characters, it's like something that people could stumble upon, hopefully, with Netflix, because that's like the cool thing about Netflix is there's just all this cool content sitting there waiting to be discovered. And I think it could be like one of those little classics. I do think from a US perspective, it's still like I mean, obviously it's still fun to watch and it's appealing. It's refreshing to see like this kind of comedy in a different location and seeing like what small town life looks like
Jess, I think you cut out now.
in America. Feel like to me they're like separate timelines on the multiverse. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that to like water down the differences betwixt the two. I do think they're very different countries, but there's similarities. It just reminds me it's like each one is like a funhouse mirror version of the other. It's like I don't know. So um and the United States is just a wasteland. Anyway,
I
so
think that,
that's
oh, sorry.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a lot bigger of a country. But
I mean,
yeah, so
I was
that's
just
basically
I
my
didn't want to cut
assessment.
in. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. Yeah, I just had a thought I was gonna add if you're done.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, so I know a lot of Australians and I've been around Australians constantly, especially being in Asia. And
Right.
I really love their dry humor. It's hilarious. And the more you get to know it, you just find yourself laughing your face off.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate it. And like right now, this is just a funny anecdote. Right now, it's like really hot and down there because they're having a crazy heat wave. And my friend lives
Yeah.
near Melbourne, and she's like, it's not too bad. But just don't go outside. And she just made a really funny crack. I forget what she said, and I was just laughing because like they'll just make a joke out of anything. And so that's what I love about Australians. They're able to find something positive in anything, and they're able to also roast anything or anyone, or just crack jokes about anything. And I think that really is so wonderful. Really.
Oh my God. They also have like this funny joke about drop bears.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 They like to trick non-Australians by telling them about this mythical creature called drop bears, and that bears in Australia literally like drop from trees in the sky to land on people.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do, and people fall for it all the time.
I also
Because
You also
Australian
what?
wildlife.
Yeah, this is
I also think that like thinking of the English speaking world and like I and the Commonwealth in general, like I said this once online and nobody saw it, but I'm gonna say it here now, is that I think that the Australian accent is the Southern accent of the British Commonwealth. Like if you know what I'm getting at.
That's very
well, yeah,
fair.
that's fair. And
It's like
also
has a
their country
twang.
music scene is
It has like a
amazing.
twang to it. And I'm like, this is like the Southern accent of the British Commonwealth. And it is south of
Yeah.
everything. So
But
that just
fun
like
fact, there's like a popular theory, and I had heard this from my Shakespeare and literature professor, that the closest living English dialect to the dialect that was spoken in Shakespeare's time would be the Southern American dialect and
huh.
accent. And that if you perform
You mean
Shakespearean plays with a Southern accent, like the rhymes and stuff just sound better.
I've actually seen that on TikTok. There are or Appalachian accent.
Mhm.
The app
Yeah.
I've seen yeah, there was this one woman, she's from Appalachia and she has a very thick accent and she did this she's done a few Shakespearean monologues, especially one from Macbeth. I was like chills. Yeah, and yeah, there was like actually a brief trend about that and like amongst like actor
you
TikTok
mentioned the
where
Scottish place? No, you offended
sorry, my
me.
bad. I forgot.
Knock
I'm in
on
my
wood.
Anyway,
studio.
no, it's
No,
okay. I'll probably be punished by the theater ghosts later. I would say
I'm so
so
superstitious.
the
Sorry.
Scottish play there was like a brief little small short-lived trend of actors doing Shakespearean monologues in Southern dialects. Some of them were actually Southern and some of them just like used a dialect and it was very fun. It was like I was like dang, so you're right. Like I
Oh,
think rhymes really work. I think the rhythm of Shakespeare, like the iambic pentameter, really works because I think the Southern accent, more than general American accent, is much more like varied. There's variances in the different in the pitch variation, and there's more like express. It's more expressive. There's more of a cadence where American accent is very flat.
mhm. It's
Oh,
cursive.
Yeah, it's like American in cursive. That's a good way
Yeah.
to. I like that.
we should also
And
mention for the
apparently, I
audience.
read somewhere, like apparently, like as far as how British people spoke in the like the founding of this country times was very is was not a lot like they speak today. Like that accent's very new, but apparently the Southern accent is like a vestigial like remnants of like how early British colonists would have like sounded like.
Huh. That is
We have
cool.
to also clarify for the dear audience because not everyone calls US America, including me. So for some of our audience, especially people from Brazil, they do you know there's a part of Brazil called America, Brazil? So we will say referring to North America, US accent from the
Oh,
South.
right. My
Pe-
bad.
People don't like this podcast is from getting a lot of people from different countries. So just
Hi, people from different
heads up.
countries.
Yes, just heads up.
We're so excited about that.
Yeah,
That
so
is
we
really
have
cool.
we have people from a lot of different places tuning in here. So just for the records.
I forget to disclaim because I feel like I'm not saying like it should be obvious, but I don't
No, but
know.
you never know who's gonna watch this. So
Yeah,
that's
sometimes
why
I
I
feel
just
so
said please
basic. I'm
clarify.
like, do I have to disclaim? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Because
love
like
the
some of
Brazil
the
note.
things are like what do you call it? Some of the things are very like um that we talk about are very specific to North
Mhm.
American
Yes.
region. So just for the
Yeah,
record.
I get it.
Yeah. I was just thinking about
Yeah.
that. Like I was like, oh, we're having this nice oh wait. But
Hi,
yeah, keep
Brazil.
going. Sorry for the tangent.
Oh, another fun fact, the British royal pronunciation is also, they say, is like there's a strong German influence.
Oh, definitely. Of course, because of the Habsburgs.
Yeah, and also
100%.
because yeah, the Queen Elizabeth's
I can't
family.
hear.
Oh, you
Mm-hmm.
can't hear?
Yeah,
Oh,
she's
now I
I
can
think
hear.
your
Sorry,
audio
I
is
crapped
cutting
out.
out. You're
So
okay.
you said the received pronunciation is what?
There's like pretty strong Germanic influence.
There's definitely German
Oh,
influence.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, yeah. So
And
that
that
was
is itself like a
Because
really
the Habsburgs.
interesting, having studied like different dialects as an actor, I think like even when this is separate from North America, like the UK, like there's a lot of like the accents is like it's very much like a class dynamic because like the received pronunciation is like very educated, like highfalutin, and then the regional accents are sort of frowned upon, and then there's certain free regional accents that are seen as more low class.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like Scouse and Mancunian.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
what there was this one actress, I forget her name. She was in Killing Eve, but she was talking about how she made a conscious decision not to tamp down on her Liverpool accent, and kind of like how there's this strong emotional reaction to her accent.
Mm-hmm. Liverpool has a bad rep.
Yeah.
I mean, they gave us the Beatles, so we should cut them some slack.
That's true. We should all be grateful.
Yes. And
Yes,
strong workers'
I also
rights.
love about Australia is that there's a lot of sailing terminology in the dialect. For
Mm.
example, depending on where you go, you may say like um I like the cut of his jib, which is like saying like I like the way you look, right? And
Hmm.
like so that's the cut of your sail, right? It looks nice. So like there's a lot of nautical things that are still in that, especially in the local dialects, which I find very interesting. Similar to what you can find in New Zealand. Being in
Oh,
New
that's
Zealand, I found a lot of that too. It's very relatable if you're a sailing person, actually, especially
we
along
know
the
that you
coast.
are.
Yes, of course, I love sailing. But I was just thinking about that too. It's very fascinating
That's
how each place has such a beautiful, like wherever you go in the world, has um, a beautiful legacy for what, what they were doing at the time. For example, like like stage people, they use a lot of sailing terms, of course, because originally they hired sailors to do that who were out of work. And like thinking about my family, we use a lot of texture words and color words. And our family was merchants and tailors and such, weavers, whatever. So it's very interesting to see how languages develop and change. And I don't know, but it seems like even with the globalization of things, where certain cultures are maybe more predominant in entertainment, we can still see that people hold on to those things like vocabulary, accents, it's part of the local traditions, even within the same
Mhm.
language, which I
Right.
love. I love that.
That's like really cool.
It really
And also
is.
language evolves over time, blah blah
Uh-huh,
blah.
very much. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I'm a linguist.
Like
I
the
should probably
I'm really interested and fascinated in like, because I am a connoisseur of K-pop and
Mhm.
I and J-pop sometimes. So I'm interested in like seeing because they obviously they're very westernized and they appeal to Western audiences, but seeing like some of the now there's much more blending, but like when it was not as blended, it was not as global yet. Like some of the English phrases they would like say or like would be on their shirts would be like really cute because it's like I mean, it was
kind
like
of like in
clearly like
China.
from someone who was not a native English speaker. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it was cute
Yep.
and it was like clever, and I was like, oh, I like that, but it was just so cute because it's like, oh, that's so different. And there's this thing called Konglish, where it's like, and like some
Mm-hmm.
Korean words are just like the English word, like sounding like it, or not, like ice cream.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's interesting how English, like how it's in the eastern part of the world and like Asian countries, as like East and West kind of like mesh, like how Eastern countries who learn English as their second language are influencing like the evolution of the language globally.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think
Especially
that's
when it
cool.
comes to Chinglish, Jinglish, whatever ish you want.
Konglish, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, if you're into like K-pop and J-pop, you should check out Nona. They're an Indonesian girl
Yes, I
group.
just caught them. Their song work.
Yeah.
And also there's like V House, it's Vietnamese house music. That's also great. No, I'm not as
I
it's
I stumbled on that too. It's so cool.
yeah. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
man.
No, the Nona is like they're intense. I love them. They're great.
100%. 100%. And like I was thinking like even like the origins of the term kawaii it's like this fun circle. It originated with English and then the term kawaii now is part of the English vernacular.
Yeah,
It's
that's
fun.
cute.
I think linguistics can be so fun and interesting. I particularly
Yes.
love the people
That's why
who,
that's why I did a
yeah,
master's in it. So I'm
that
like the
is,
biggest nerd.
there's this guy who like people will send him videos and they're like, can you guess where I'm from? And then he'll sit there and like decode based off of like a short, like 15-second clip. And then most of the time he's so accurate at figuring out where they're from and where they live.
Oh yeah. That's fun to
It's
do. I enjoy
yeah,
doing
real
that.
Higgins.
Especially if you know dialects well. Like people can never figure out, for example, my accent changes all the time, depending on who I'm talking to or what language I've been speaking previously.
Yes.
So then it gets all messed up. And then people are like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "Thank you. I really appreciate that. I managed to make you think something because that means that my accent is still mixed up, and I appreciate that because it helps in many situations, including getting discounts. So
I think the
Nice.
accent of third culture
I have
kids
to
is so
say, what?
I said I think the accents of third culture kids is so fun.
Yeah, yeah. Like for example, I have such a crazy like mix of things. I can hardly know what anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like a lot of like my cousins or like extended family, they're in that realm. So hearing them speak English is always like so fun and so wild. I'm like, it's really nice to
Some
hear.
of my family gets annoyed actually.
Really?
Yeah. My European parts of my family don't get annoyed, but it's the US part of my family that gets annoyed sometimes. They'd be like, "Why are you doing that? Why did you say sorry to the chair?" I'm like, "I'm sorry." Oh no, the Canadians are
I
impacting
say
me
sorry to
again.
objects too. I didn't realize that was like a cultural thing.
That's a
Clearly, I'm
Canadian
just
thing.
weird. It's a
No,
what?
that's a Canadian thing. That's a Canadian
Oh,
thing.
well, I am
Canadians do
not
that all the
Canadian, but I
time. I
also I
know.
apologize to the microwave when I slam the door too hard.
Then
Ooh.
you can just say that you're adopting the Canadian habits because that's a very
Sure. I mean,
Canadian
I'm
thing.
just a weird, eccentric person.
And then there is like that neurodivergent thing where you like inadvertently start mirroring the other person's accent. So if I'm hanging around my Irish friends for too long, I end up saying cousin, like cousin, like I'm going over to
Oh
my
yeah,
cousin's
yeah, yeah,
house.
yeah.
The Irish dialect is infectious. It's like it's very contagious
It
in a good
is. I'm
way.
like, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to do that. I don't know why that came out the way it did.
Most people
Something
don't
about
worry
it
about
just
it
like
though.
absorbs whoever comes near it. Like,
I think it's part
Yeah.
of the way that we cope. I don't know if it's divergent or not, honestly. Like I think in my point of view, having studied linguistics as a master and doing my thesis with people that speak Arabic and Amharic and learning English, I think, and also just observations, I think that part of the reason why we change our accent is because we want to connect, you know? I think it's just a
Mhm.
natural part of the show. And I mean, I think some people may do it for whatever other reason, but most of the time I found that people like um they often will just like do it naturally, and I usually the interlocutor won't even think about it because they're just sounding like something. And most people don't get too offended about it, at least
Yeah.
in my experience or my observation. Maybe I'm the strange person who hasn't seen it, but yeah,
Some people can get weird about it.
I don't.
yeah.
I never experienced that though. Where did you find that?
The Australia picture.
No, 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 no. Where did people get offended by it or weird off put about it? Which countries?
Um, oh no, like here within the United States.
Oh, that's US. Okay.
Yeah, within the United States, like some people can get a little weird about like let's say, especially like here in the South, if let's say someone who isn't from the South starts like getting a Southern twang or like inadvertently slipping into like Southernisms, that can be sometimes viewed as being a little offensive because the person can take it as like that the other person is mocking them.
Okay.
But
I
that
figured it would
happens
probably be the
specific
United
context.
States, which would be the one that's getting offended.
Yeah. No, because it's within the context
Oh,
of Southern accent usually getting mocked a lot. So there is that sensitivity
that's
um
what I
on
mean.
their part.
There's a lot of seems like a lot of tension between accents in
Yeah.
that
And,
context.
and a little bit of classism too.
Yeah, everything's all mixed in, eh?
Yeah. But yeah, thank you for
I think we
your
just
rating.
drained the topic,
I
eh?
love like yeah, I loved like everything that you guys had to say, like even though like you were saying you were kind of like giving a disclaimer beforehand of being critical, like I enjoyed hearing your input on the show because it's like different than mine. So I'm like this is kind of what the whole point of this podcast is
That's
about is
true.
like here yeah, how people approach things differently. So I really enjoyed what you both had to say. It was illuminating for me.
Yeah, I want to say that too. Thank you both for sharing your ideas, and I think it gives some people maybe a chance to check out the diversity of what is Australia, because Australia is not just like, I'm in the Barbie, you're gonna
Yeah.
you
Grilling
know?
shrimp on the bobby.
It's not
I
that.
want to
It's
bring up
not that at
something that
all.
I really liked about the series that I
Help
meant to
yourself.
say, but I forgot as far as
Mhm.
its comedy. Like, I like how the show doesn't take things seriously, but the characters within the show take themselves very seriously. And I think that that contrast is like my favorite part. That's like that's comedic gold. I think that's where it like strikes. Like
Mhm.
that's where it like the best. So that like especially like the literary festival, it's just so
Yes,
funny
that was
because
funny.
yeah, like it's yeah, like the people in the show take themselves so seriously. And then but we the audience are like we don't take it seriously. We know it's not serious because we're, from the show, like the show itself doesn't take them seriously.
Right,
But
right.
also
Thunder.
like doesn't make fun of them either. It's just like it's funny.
It's
I
not
like
cruel.
Yeah, it just comes from a place of love. Like I think Abbott Elementary, which is a show in the US, does that too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think like my rating for the show is coming a little differently because this is after a rewatch. I watched it like a while back, and then I finished the 3 seasons and everything, and then rewatching season one after watching all three seasons and having had time to marinate in it made me like I think appreciate season one more on my rewatch. There were things that I had missed because I was like kind of passively watching it the first time around.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like especially like the first couple episodes are really awkward. For me, I felt like as far as like her emotional arc was really great on at the season two finale. Season three was great too, but season two finale just like hit me like real deep. But yeah, like rewatching it, I'm like, oh, I missed this last time, and just like knowing where her journey goes, gave it a bit more appreciation, and then my God, their utilization of color is so fun to watch, even though the colors are not bright at all. But yeah, I I think that's why I viewed it a lot more positively. And actually, like rewatching it now and like doing all this research on Kitty Flanagan makes me like want to go delve deeper into like the Australian comedy scene and like give her
It's
other
really
shows
good.
a yeah. She's really good. And like I can't believe that her dad is the author of The Ranger's Apprentice. I don't know if like anyone who's listening like read that series, but it's like a very famous, very popular like kids lit young adult fantasy series. Like my brothers also were super obsessed with the series. So knowing that that's her dad, I'm like, this is so wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we can move on. If you guys are good, we can move to industry news, and I'll start because it's that time of year again where I will talk
Mhm.
about my favorite thing for this upcoming week, the best thing ever. And that is that Prix de Lausanne is coming again, and I can't help but to say that every year because it is such a beautiful, wonderful opportunity for students of dance to come together to learn from the best of the best in the world of ballet, including the Paris Opera, and so many more people coming together to offer opportunities for students who have less means and also those who do have means to a chance to have an amazing competition in the most amazing part of Lausanne, Switzerland, near the lake. And of course, the amazing food and people there and the amazing judges. And I'm very annoyed that I cannot go this year because of some things onshore that we have to do some shows to finish up before the New Year's here. Yes, I mean the Easter and New Year's. But yeah, it features people like Elizabeth Patel, who is the director of Paris Opera Ballet School and the Étoile Paris Opera Ballet, teaching the girls, and Joel Carreño teaching the boys, who's a principal dancer, former principal dancer at the Norwegian National Ballet, and also teaches at the also Academy of the Arts, and other people like um, Claire Marirosta, who is coach at the L'Étoile Ballet Paris, and Mia Kamara, who also is amazing. She's the founder of Ballet Extreme. So they bring like a lot of amazing, and oh, cannot forget Shawnee Tanatanit, who is the founder and host of Bangkok Performing Arts Center, and so many more people come together for this amazing week of competition. And I am really looking forward to seeing it online, and everyone should support it, whether you support it with your funds or with your viewing time. It's available on Arctic Concert, and I'm going to plug this until the day I die because this is one of the best competitions for youth, period. And we shouldn't forget that the Olympics in Milan are coming up, so I'm going to definitely support my friends like big time. So it's going to be a big party for me for the next few weeks. Anyways, enjoy the fun, and hopefully you guys can find something you enjoy.
I get excited for this time of the year, even though I'm not a ballet aficionado, but just the premise of this event is just always really exciting.
You should watch the final if you can. There's like they have, as part of their final, they have actually like invited guest artists who come and show new works, and they also show classical works. So they'll have some of the alums of that won the prize of their prize in the past will come, and they'll also give a prize to someone who really made a big contribution in the art form. So it's a great time if you want to watch the final because it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yay. I Sundance just happened or is still happening or is wrapping up. It's the second week and I it seems like every year I always watch Sundance to see like what's coming out because I feel like it sets a tone for what's like the cultural shifts would be or what's going to be like the things that people that shake things up or the risks being taken in that film festival, even though it's gotten more commercialized and it's mostly just celebrities and their indie projects, but they're really good indie projects, so I don't complain too much. I think we've talked about Charlie XCX before, but her film The Moment premiered there, and it's a mockumentary, like how singers will do documentaries of their tour to extend the life of their album. And she decided to do like a twist on it where it's not a real documentary. She's playing a version of herself. And it's like, I don't know, playing into maybe like the rumors of being like playing into like being this diva, big personality. And there are other actors that are in it. And I think like her friends that also play versions of themselves, or maybe they play different characters. I haven't seen it yet. But I think and it has, I'm really, as a concept, it's really cool. And she also made like, is a big contributor to the music for the upcoming film. Um, oh my God, Wuthering Heights. And
Oh,
I'm
they're
really
doing it
excited.
again.
No, this is the first time. Oh yeah, they're
I
doing it
mean,
again.
Wuthering Heights, they're doing it again.
Yeah, so let me find the name. Emerald Fennell,
Ugh.
who you don't like her?
Yeah, that was touching like what I was going to talk about next, but that's just going to be a rant. But you
She
go
did
ahead.
Salt,
Just
yeah, she did Saltburn and which and she is doing this one, and she has described in interviews that she adapted it based on the version that she remembers, like from when she was 16. So it's an adaptation very much based on her experience of it as a 16-year-old, which will make for an interesting choices, I'm sure. And also Charlie XCX has always, to me, been so thoroughly modern and contemporary. Like, I really think it's cool that she is flexing her creative muscles in explore and like working with like classical English literature, because it's like I can't imagine her outside of the 21st century. Like if she were to time travel, like she would immediately get like witch, she's a witch.
Yeah.
Like not she would like she would not be able to hide. They'd be like, who is this creature? This people would be in awe. They'd be
Creature.
like, whoa.
Who is this
And then the
creature?
church would show up and then be like, ah. So that's funny to me.
Oh man. Yeah, she's I think she had this sort of she wrote this letter about like her brat era and how she kind of wants to like move in a different direction and like explore different avenues. So I definitely think that she is doing that. I think I also remember seeing her. She like is doing a small role on like a thriller type mini series, but I forget what it's called. But yeah, she's definitely expanding.
Yeah. And I feel like Brat was the culmination of everything she had done up to that point. Like she was working towards Brat.
Hmm.
And so it's really great that she like hit that peak of that arc and is now like, let me see where else what else. And like now is like entering a new chapter. And she's very lucky to be able to do that. Not a lot of artists even have like the opportunity to really flex their artistic muscles, even if they have creative careers, because sometimes you don't have a say in what you're doing creatively, especially as actors. But I think that's really cool that we're seeing a new era, like an actual era, not like Taylor Swift eras. She's really great.
Yeah.
Hmm. So what did you want to say about your thing, Ayla? You said you have something that's related.
Oh, yeah. We had discussed this before, but Wuthering Heights adaptation is coming out, I think February 13th. They're doing the promo and premiere now. And you know, certified hater of the book. I've read it a
Who's
couple of
directing it,
times
by the
and
way?
sorry,
I
what?
mean, I said, who's the director?
Emerald Fennel.
Emerald
Okay.
Fennel. Emerald
I have no
Fennel.
idea who that
I
is,
do want to
actually.
reread that book before I see the
Yeah.
movie. I think
Yeah,
that's
I've had some complicated feelings about her
I just have
with
complicated feelings
Saltburn.
about the book,
yeah.
period.
Yeah, about the director. Saltburn is just a really interesting film.
Oh, she
Before,
did
like
that? Oh, no.
yeah. So like visually it was very beautiful, but knowing that she is part of the British like ruling upper wealthy crust caste makes me re-examine that the story of that film in a fresh new eyes. And it definitely comes off as like anti-poor people, anti-working class, like subliminal messaging in there. So like that already like gave me a weird
Yeah.
taste in my mouth. And then with Wuthering Heights, like I said, certified book hater, I did not enjoy it. I know that it is an important work of literature, and that, the characters are all supposed to be like really horrible people, like just ultimately bad people, and that is the point of the story. But just it was not a pleasant reading experience for me, not for lack of trying.
I
Um,
think it's yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to
yeah.
jump in.
Oh, no worries. So yeah, so people were already pretty upset with this adaptation when she announced that Robbie was playing the part of Catherine and then Jacob Elordi as Heathcliff, because like the tragedy of the story is the fact that the characters are so young. They're like I think 19. They start off as children, and then I think the crux of the tragedy is like they're 19, and then a big part of it is the fact that Heathcliff was a man of color. He was not a white man. That was like part of the abuse that he endured as a child. Like just people being very, very outwardly racist towards him. So the fact that she had casted a white Australian man in that role gave people like very large pause because again, his race has a lot
Because
to do.
yeah,
Yeah,
a
it
few
has a
years
lot.
ago, there was another Wuthering Heights adaptation that actually honored that difference, like that made
Yeah.
them really young and actually cast a black actor as
Yeah.
Heathcliff.
Yeah, and it's like very like it's very
Oh, I saw
overt.
that
It's
one.
not like something where you read behind the lines. Like there's like a quote where they describe him as a dark-skinned slur for Romani people in aspect, right? He like in the book they use the slur for Romani people a lot. She did fly up asking how he could fashion to bring that Romani brat into the house. You know, say people were kind of speculating about his parentage, that his mother was like an Indian princess or whatever. So very clearly, like a man of color, and that has to do with the abuse that he experienced and also was a big part of the reason why he and Catherine were not able to be together. So without that big integral part of the story, when she casted Jacob Elordi in the role, people had that big question of like, how are you going to do the plot of the story justice? And then this like popped up, which I was like, this is very tone deaf, which is in line with how this story has been progressing, which is Margot Robbie at the premiere of Wuthering Heights in LA was, wearing like a beautiful couture. And she was wearing a famous historic necklace called the Taj Mahal necklace. And she wore it because she said that it had a lot of romantic history and felt appropriate for the occasion. And, it does have a romantic history. It was gifted to the wife of the Mughal emperor. Her name is Noor, and she is the mother of basically the emperor who built the Taj Mahal for his wife. And it's inscribed with her name, it's inscribed in Urdu, and the dates also, so that is the inscription on it. And, it kind of has like a mystery gap of ownership and where it went, like starting in the late 1700s until it came into the ownership of Cartier. And then Cartier sold it to Elizabeth Taylor. And then now it's being loaned out to Margot Robbie. So, a big part of the tragedy of India and colonialism deals with the plunder and theft of resources and gems and jewels. And those gems and jewels are within the ownership of the British royal family and is on display in British museums. So,
Not just
to
the
see,
British, the French, many other people have these
Yeah,
yes,
gems.
but
European museums, but
yeah.
specifically British in this case.
Yes, because it
That's
was
true,
the
yeah. But
British
I'm
who
just saying, like, they're
engaged.
not the only
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. But I'm talking specifically about the concept of the context of Indian history.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah. Yeah. Within the context of Indian history, the plunder and looting of India, the starvation of India within the Bengal famine, there's a real tragedy in that story. And then
Absolutely.
yeah, to see that necklace appear on her neck in this movie where there's already been criticisms of some ignorance or lack of care in terms of these issues was kind of like, I'm like, okay, this is like the cherry on top of a pretty ridiculous sundae. So I'm like, this feels very on trend for this endeavor. I'm curious about how it ends up, but I do not think I will be financially supporting this film. But yeah, that was my kind of news for today, and I'm going to pause here before I get too heated.
Yes, thank you for sharing the about that and also the story from what you observed. It's good for people to know where things come from. I was just thinking
Yeah.
about the something totally different while you were sharing about the the Indian history. I was reading the there's an old story from not from there. Well, I had been reading the Mahabharata again, and then I read some works from other places like Visan Raman, and not from there, but like, and then I read what was that one? They had it set in India, but it's this kind of set in India, but not, and it's an old Hebrew story. What's it called? Oh, I read it. No, 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 no. Where is it? I have it somewhere. Saved. Well, you know the story of Sendabar, Ayla?
No,
The
who is
story of
Sindabar?
Sendabar. Sendabar is an old story, and it's kind of it's a story about it's actually quote unquote set in India, but it's an old Hebrew story. And essentially,
Oh,
Sendabar is this sage that works for this king, and this king has an only son, and there's like some prophecy in the sky that if the son speaks before the end of 7 days, he'll die.
oh,
And so then it's like this whole thing where the wise people are trying to like protect the son, and this lady gets in the way because the son won't talk to her and tries to get the son killed over time. And the wise
oh,
people keep dropping all these pearls of wisdom and all these little stories to try to keep the kid alive. It's wild. Anyway, my mind went on
wow.
a bunny trail while you were saying this. But yeah, there's a lot of very interesting stories that I think people need to pay attention to. Thank you for bringing that up because I think people don't have enough exposure to the classics, which is part of my little horse to die on.
Yes.
I believe it's
Classics.
hill that you die on, but you could be riding that hill on a horse. So riding
I'm
a
gonna
horse
die on
onto
the
that.
horse, whether it's on a hill or not on a hill, whether it's in the ocean.
The horse on the hill that I'm dying on.
That's fair, but I think I'll just die on the horse. I think that comes from that's more of a Spanish saying, die on the horse.
Yeah.
Mm.
But anyway, I think this is a good place where we can wrap it, unless anyone else has any more pearls of wisdom to share with our audience. And yeah, I think, let me check. Where are we
I think
going
I
to
am all
next?
wisdomed out.
Okay, let me check where we're going next for our dear audience. Let's see, check my little notes. I think it's going to be. Okay, here we go. Seems to me that we have another epic time. Yes, we're gonna go to Slovakia next with Jessica. So we're gonna go to Slovakia next, and then we'll hit
Yeah.
India, and then Denmark and Argentina following up. So yeah, looking forward to you joining us for more of our exploration to various places and spaces around the world. And feel free to like or subscribe. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you find yourselves.